guys, it's Bella. So today I'm going to be making another video for you guys, and something that's going to be brought up a lot in this video is atheism, and the big question in this video is, did we come from nothing?
Good morning, salutations, and hello, my name is Larry, and this is the channel affectionately titled The Ethical Atheist, and today I'm going to be responding to Ms. Bella Mateus, and I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. I'm really sorry if I butchered the last name. But today, Ms. Mateus has a video about atheism and the origins of life and evolution, and a little bit about Ray Comfort and Richard Dawkins, and I watched through it, and I thought it was really interesting, so I thought I would do a response to it. So, take it away, Ms. Bella.
So yeah, just a little disclaimer. I got a lot of this information from a video that I think explains all of this really well. I will leave the link to that video in the description below so you guys can go check that out. It's about 12 minutes, I believe.
To save you some time, it's Ray Comfort's The Atheist Delusion, and if you follow my channel unironically, you've already seen it and know exactly what I think about it. But to continue.
Something the guy talked about was, where is it? Yes, okay. So the guy talked about, in this video, he went to a bunch of atheists on the street, and he's like, are you an atheist? Are you an atheist? These people were like, yeah, I'm an atheist. And he's like, okay. So he hands them a book. And it's a very colorful book. It's complex. It's a book that can't be made by itself. A book can't make itself.
So what she's talking about is the very famous Ray Comfort twist on the Watchmaker argument, which boiled down to a statement says that a design implies a designer, which means that if something has complex form function, then it must have been designed to have that form and function. But really, this is a question of the lens through which we view the world is a very human perspective, and we cannot step outside of our human perspective to take a look at the greater picture most of the time. So, of course, to us, when we look at things and we give things context in our minds, and we give things names, and we give them more form and power than they actually have through our unique psychology. So of course when we look at things and we say, like for example, we look at a flower, we've given it a name, we've given a name to the color it has, we've given a name to the species it has, we have given it an identity that it would not have without our observance of it. And of course, once we have given it all those things, it begins to look like a very complex construct. And so the issue here, the way you confront the Watchmaker argument, is to point out that just because you can say that something has a design doesn't mean that it actually does. And we assign meaning to things everywhere in our lives. We assign meaning where there is none because it makes us feel better emotionally. And so saying that things are designed does not de facto mean that they actually are, if you follow.
Then he asked them, what about DNA? Which DNA is the molecule that carries the genetic instructions used in the growth, development, and functioning and reproduction of all known living organisms and many viruses. DNA is very complex, as we know. We don't know how it works. That is how complex it is.
I'd just like to interject a little bit right here. I'm sorry, I know she's in the middle of a statement, but we actually do know how DNA works. Like, I took AP biology, and the nightmare of my existence was having to transcribe, like, cellular processes, because that was one of the things that we had to do for our final, and we know how DNA works, like, every step, every process, how the cell makes energy, how the DNA replicates, you know, helicase, polymerase, yada 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 yada. We know how it works, down to pretty minute details. So that's just something I wanted to interject. Sorry, go on.
complex that it determines if we have light or dark skin. It determines whether we have blue, brown, green eyes. It determines whether we have blonde, brunette, red hair, whether we're tall or less tall, short. Everything that makes us up. It is in so many things. It is in giraffes, elephants, us, trees, plants, so much more. It is amazing.
I agree, actually. DNA is pretty amazing.
The DNA that is inside us is so complex, and it can't just happen by accident. The question is, where did it come from?
Here's the rub. We were not there at the origin of life, whatever that origin was, and we do not currently have the ability to replicate in a meaningful way the conditions that theoretically led to the origin of life. And because of that, you can't really make statements like that. You can't say that it's impossible for DNA to arise out of a soup of primordial elements and organic bits. You can't say that because we don't know. We don't know for sure how exactly life started. We don't know for sure exactly what conditions it occurred under. We have a rough picture of what might have happened based on fossils and based on other, evidence based on carbon dating and things like that. We have a rough idea of conditions 4 billion years ago on planet Earth, but there are huge gaps in our understanding. And that's not a bad thing. Like, we don't know everything, but we have the capacity to keep researching until the end of sentient life as we know it. But since it can't really be experimented with in a meaningful way, you can't make statements like it's impossible for DNA to arise out of specific situation X because we don't know for sure.
People would say, well, things evolved over time. Evolution, how things change and grow over time. Okay, but that still doesn't answer the initial question, because people say we evolved. People say things have evolved over time. DNA has evolved over time. So yeah, people say that DNA has evolved over time. But like I said, that still doesn't answer the initial question. Where did it start?
So there have actually been experiments done in labs where they've run varying degrees of electrical current through different types of matter suspended in solution of water, and they've actually had successful experiments where they ran an electric current through and the molecules organized into a single protein, like a recognizable protein. And so, given that we know that that's possible, because spontaneous electrical storms happen, there's matter everywhere, it's not unreasonable to think, well, proteins happened, and then the proteins connected to each other, and then those proteins connected to other proteins, and over time, over a mind-bogglingly long amount of time, that eventually created a strand of RNA. And then after many millennia, that RNA developed into what we would know as DNA, which has been self-replicating ever since then. If you have an understanding of those types of things, it's really not as mind-boggling. But to set that aside for a moment, from the scientific standpoint, it doesn't really matter a whole lot what the exact conditions were of the origin of life, because the progression of evolution is something that is so documented, that has so much evidence, that it's beside the point what you claim the origin of life is. The progression of evolution is observable and evident. We have the fossil record, we have observable instances like ring species, where you see a species now evolving into a new species or into a new subspecies. Like, we can observe evolution happening, and we have record of evolution that's happened in the past. So, to discount the entire theory of evolution because it's not a certain fact when, how, and where the origin of life occurred, that's not fair.
Professor Richard Dawkins, who is an atheist.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop that right there because this is something that gets on every single one of my last damn nerves, and it's not you, Bella. I'm not mad at you, but I'm mad at people who they see Richard Dawkins and they're like, he's the king of the atheists. All atheists like Richard Dawkins, and all of them think the way that he thinks. Richard Dawkins, I think he's a smart guy. I think he's a great biologist. I think that he's, good scientist. But my God, he's an unbearable asshole. And I know that there might be some of my people here who feel betrayed. I don't like Richard Dawkins. He's smug. He's insufferable. He talks down to people. And really, I don't have religion. I don't agree with parts of certain religions, but I'm not gonna talk smack to religious people just because. And that's something that he does a lot. He belittles people and makes fun of people for being religious, which is not something that I agree with. But on to the next point, Bella.
Another thing people will talk about is the Big Bang, how the Big Bang caused everything how that we're here, the Big Bang caused this. But again, doesn't solve the initial question, where did the Big Bang come from? What caused the Big Bang? There had to be something that caused the Big Bang in order for it to happen. What are the materials, where did those come from that caused the explosion that were in the Big Bang and all that stuff? The Big Bang, it does not solve the initial question.
Something that we grapple with just as sapient beings is the fact that we don't know everything. We do not know literally everything about everything. And when it comes to unobservable phenomenon, like the Big Bang, that's incredibly frustrating for some people. For people like me, I don't know what caused the Big Bang. I do believe that it happened because of the, quantum equations and stuff that have been written to describe it, and, the way that they've mapped the universe and traced it back to a single point. That the rate of expansion of the universe and all that leads them to believe that there was I'm not going to explain the whole theory of the Big Bang to you, but there is evidence that suggests that the Big Bang occurred. As to what caused the Big Bang, not so much evidence. And given that we don't have any evidence, and it's not observable, it seems like a misstep to just choose an explanation, if you understand what I mean. It seems inherently shaky to decide to explain something that we literally have no basis upon which to put an explanation. We don't have any data about the conditions pre-Big Bang. So we cannot have a theory that has weight to it about what caused the Big Bang. So to say that the universe just had a hiccup and that created the Big Bang is a perfectly fine theory. Can't prove it. To say that God created the universe is a perfectly fine theory. Can't prove it. So for people like me, I'm perfectly okay living my life, not knowing for sure what caused the universe to come into being. All I know is that it's here, I'm in it, and I'm trying to have as good a time as I can before I kick the bucket. And I think it is a wonderful thing to sit down and contemplate the deeper questions of life and existence and think about philosophy and existentialism and, go down these creative thought paths and get into the real nitty-gritty of what is life. I think that it's a wonderful intellectual exercise to do that. But when it comes to the origin of the universe, there is no information. So, really, no matter what side of the fence you're on, you're making a guess. Like, if you say, I am 100% sure that black matter hiccuped and that caused the Big Bang, which created the universe, you're guessing. And if you say, I'm 100% certain that there is a Judeo-Christian deity who pointed at nothing and made it the universe, you're also guessing. For me, everything that comes after the Big Bang, evolution, science, technology, that's all stuff that is reliable information that has evidence and has, a bedrock of proof. But anything pre-Big Bang you want to talk about, you're guessing, and you have to admit that to yourself. Every good scientist should admit that to themselves. Every good creationist or theist should admit that to themselves. All it comes down to on both sides of the fence when it comes to pre-Big Bang is best guess. And I don't hold with that. I would rather not choose at all than pick between two things that are equally unstable, if you follow me. So that's my bit about the Big Bang and evolution, or the Big Bang in particular. Everybody, you all know my stance on evolution. So she goes on to finish out the video with some fairly standard points that, religious people tend to bring up. If there's no God, what is the purpose of life? You have to have a deity to have purpose and meaning and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that I've done full videos about that already somewhere in the archive, but if you need a supreme being to feel like you have purpose in your life, or you need a religion to feel like you have purpose in your life, by all means have that. That's fine. If you need a religious community to, if you need the support of a religious community to feel like you lead a meaningful life, have that. I'm serious. I bear you no ill will. I don't need that. I don't need for there to be a supreme design for me to feel empowered and purposeful, because I decide my own way. I decide what I do with my life and my time and my effort and energy. And that's empowering to me. If it's empowering to you to believe that there's a divine plan and that there is something predestined for you, by all means believe that, if that makes you feel better. I'm serious. And that's the thing about most atheists, is we don't need meaning from a higher power, because we make our own meaning. We make our own purpose. We decide what has purpose and point to us. And that's all I wanted to say about that. And I want to extend my thanks to Ms. Bella. I enjoyed watching your video. I feel really, really good whenever I see people being curious, especially when you're brave enough in your curiosity to put a video out on YouTube and earnestly ask people questions. I think that's a great thing. Even if I don't necessarily share your views, I think that you are brave, and I think that, asking questions is one of the best things that you can do with your time. So I really, really hope that you actually watch this video. If you don't, that's okay. But any of the questions discussed in the video, if anybody has any further questions or comments, please leave a comment below. Like and share and subscribe and all the good stuff, because YouTube doesn't like atheist content and I'm never gonna get seen. But thank you very much for watching, and as always, may Darwin be with you. Hey guys, this is Larry. Thank you for making it to the end of the video, and if you liked this video and want to be a part of more discussions in the future, hit that bell and you'll be notified every time a new video is posted. As always, thank you for watching, and may Darwin be with you.